The Video Visions High School Sports Weekly, an in-depth look at the boys and girls athletic programs in the Over-the-Mountain area. Brought to you in part by Sports Care, a service of Montclair Baptist Medical Center. Buffalo Rock, your local bottler of Pepsi. And by Video Visions, a full-service video production company. And now, here's the host of Video Visions High School Sports Weekly, Chris Stewart.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Video Visions High School Sports Weekly, where we spotlight the boys and girls athletic programs right here in the Over-the-Mountain area. Another big week for sports, cross-country, volleyball, and football. Dominating the headlines in sports this week, we'll have highlights from many of those football games, including Homewood and Pell City, Berry versus Pelham, Thompson versus Gardendale, and Vestavia's homecoming victory over Bradshaw. We'll also be talking with two members of the hottest volleyball team in the Over-the-Mountain area right now, or one of the hottest teams, the Homewood Lady Patriots. Stacy Wygan and also Jennifer Hayes. We'll be hearing their comments. As usual, we will have the Birmingham Sports Shipley Donuts Trivia Quiz and the Sports Care Health Tip. All of that coming up right after this on the Video Visions High School Sports Weekly.
Think about it.
Please.
For more than 100 years, Forbes Piano Company has been providing its customers the largest selection at the best prices. Forbes has everything from traditional uprights to the latest in musical enjoyment, digital pianos. Before you make an investment, Forbes has a plan where you can try before you buy. The Forbes Rent-to-Own plan allows you to try out any new piano, including grand pianos. Forbes also has a sheet music department that enables you to find the perfect piece for any occasion. Forbes Piano Company, open 6 days a week with 2 locations to serve you.
The Rhyme Companies, synonymous with quality living. With the Rhyme Company's years of apartment community management, you can expect the best whether you're looking for affordability, family living, or a distinctive home with amenities like tanning salons, saunas, and whirlpools. If you're seeking quality living in an apartment community, call the Rhyme Company at 942-7360.
The Rhyme Companies for your total way of living.
Welcome back to High School Sports Weekly. We're starting to get into the fun part of the high school football season. A couple of teams had their first area games of the season last week in the Over-the-Mountain area. We've also seen a couple of teams that got off to a slow start make a great comeback, and it looks like they're headed toward playoff berths as we approach the really difficult and, as I said earlier, the fun part of the high school football season. Let's take a look at last week's action. Let's get right to the scoreboard. Leading things off, West Blockton, 34-7 winners over Briarwood Christian. Briarwood won their first 3 games of the season, all of them coming on the road against some very tough squads. The last 2 weeks, they have come up on the short end of the stick, losing 2 consecutive home games. They lose this one 34-7 to West Blockton. Next up is one of those teams I told you about that is really making some great strides the last couple of weeks. The Homewood Patriots looked like they were down, not out, but down a little bit when they started the year off at 1-2. But after an upset victory over Vestavia 2 weeks ago, and then an upset victory of the number 2 ranked team in Class 5A, the Patriots look to be ready to make another run towards the state playoffs. They defeat the Pell City Panthers 21-14. We'll have the highlights of that ball game just a little bit later on in the program. Next up, Alexandria over John Carroll. The Cavaliers continue to stay close. but they just can't quite get over the hump when it comes to getting another victory. They lose to Alexandria 17-6. This was one of those area matchups that we told you about, Berry versus Pelham, the first area game of the season for both squads. The Buccaneers ranked 5th in the state coming into that ball game against a tough Pelham Panther squad. The Panthers taking it on the chin. Berry wins it 31-7. That was a much better ball game than the score indicates. Pelham had several problems offensively. They would get the ball inside the 20-yard line, and then penalties and turnovers really gave them problems. We'll take a look at some of those highlights a little bit later on in the show. Berry 31-7 over Pelham. Next up, the Mountain Brook Spartans, still looking for their first victory after losing to the number 9 team in the state in Class 4A, the Midfield Patriots. Mountain Brook actually led at the beginning of this game, but they end up losing to the Patriots by a score of 10-7. Well, Shades Valley, after losing their first game of the season to Vestavia, has made quite a run. They're 4-0 right now after their second blowout victory in a row. This one a 35-6 victory over the minor Purple Tigers. Coach Robert Higginbotham's squad is making quite a turnaround. They're playing up to their potential, and as a matter of fact, they have popped back into that Class 6A top 10 poll. We'll show you that a little bit later on in the program. And the final game on our football scoreboard, Thompson 31-6 winners over Gardendale. Coach Ricky Seals' team, only one loss on the season. They get their second big victory in a row as they come from behind. Gardendale had an early lead in this one, but the Warriors come back to win by a score of 31-6. We'll have highlights of that one later on as well. As you can see, some important football games last week. Also, some important volleyball matches were held in the Over the Mountain area last week. Several of the top programs in this area got together for tri-matches. Also, some big tournaments going on. Let's take a look at the high school volleyball scoreboard now. Leading things off, Homewood won the important Mid-South tournament, which was held at Thompson High School. They defeated Ramsey High School 15-3, 16-14 in the finals. That's a great matchup there because Ramsey was the dominant program in the state in Class 5A for a number of years. Now Homewood has won 2 consecutive state championships in that classification. So it was really a meeting of 2 teams that have dominated volleyball in Class 5A the past 10 years. Homewood coming out the victor in that one, 15-3, 16-14. These next 3 games that you'll see, some tri-matches that were held at Homewood High School just Tuesday night. Pelham defeated Briarwood 15-10, 15-3. The Lady Panthers had a great match with Homewood. They came out victorious in that one as well, 17-15, 12-15, 16-14. Also involved in tri-match action on Tuesday night, Vestavia won a pair of matches. They defeated Huffman by a score of 15-love, 15-1, and then they defeated Phillips by a score of 15-2, 15-4. Not much of a challenge for Coach Debbie Spidner's Lady Rebels in that one. And it was a big week for the Pelham Lady Panthers, obviously with all the victories that you saw on the scoreboard, but there's one other that we didn't have on there. The Lady Panthers won the Tallahassee Invitational in Florida last weekend. They went undefeated in that tournament against some great competition from across the Southeast. So congratulations to Tammy Richardson's squad as they win the Tallahassee Invitational. Well, we've covered a little bit of football from last week, also volleyball. Now we're going to talk about cross country, and one of the biggest meets in the Southeast was held last weekend in Birmingham. It was the 11th annual Vulcan Classic held at the Magic City Running Park. Several over-the-mountain athletes fared very well in that competition. Let's take a look at the board to give you those results. In the Division I girls 2-mile race, the championship, first place championship I should say, goes to Michelle Mullis of Briarwood. She defended her championship successfully in that event with a time of 12 minutes, 46.2 seconds. Congratulations to Michelle Mullis of Briarwood, the winner of the girls 2-mile race. In 4th place in that same event, Kristen Parrott of Mountain Brook with an excellent time of 13 minutes, 1.8 seconds. And in 7th place, Katie Person of Berry High School, 13 minutes, 14.2 seconds. In Division I girls, the team scores, Berry's Lady Bucks in 5th place, and Mountain Brook's Lady Spartans finished 6th. Division I boys team score, the 3rd place finishers were from Mountain Brook, and 9th place in the team division was Vestavia Hills. So once again, you see what we've been telling you all along, that the over-the-mountain area is one of the best, if not the best area in the state of Alabama when it comes to high school sports in all the programs. Volleyball, cross country, and football, of course, they really make their mark when it comes to the Alabama high school ranks, and not only in the state of Alabama, but this is regional competition, which the athletes fare very well and in many cases do claim first place championships. Well, a team that looks like they may be headed toward a shot at a championship anyway is the Homewood Patriot football team. Gerald Gann's squad, as I said a few moments ago, was 1-2 after 3 weeks of the football season. But they've pulled 2 upsets in a row, defeating ranked teams, the 9th ranked team 2 weeks ago in Class 6A, Vestavia Hills, and this week defeating the number 2 ranked Pell City Panthers. Let's take a look at the highlights of Homewood's victory over Pell City. Early on, it looked like it would be a long night for the Homewood Patriots as they had to chase that guy throughout much of the quarter. Gerald Posey, one of the top players in the state of Alabama, had a fine performance against the Patriots. On this first quarter drive, he's forced out of the pocket and scrambles inside the 20, and the Patriots look like they're going to knock on the door. The Patriots won't answer as they come up with a big defensive play to stop the drive. That's Eric Moulton making the stop there. But midway through the first quarter, the Panthers would come back again. Posey shows he can throw the ball as he gets inside Homewood territory on this completion. You know, he may be his most dangerous when he's forced out of the pocket. Here, he's forced to scramble, and he does it quite well, getting inside the Homewood 10-yard line. With just under 2 minutes left to go in the first quarter, Posey scores on this keeper. He looks like he's going to give it to the fullback, and looks like the guy still has it, but at the last minute, he yanks it back out and scores the touchdown. The extra point was good. It was 7-0. Homewood has a costly mistake there, turning it over. And once again, Pell City knocking on the door. They kick it in here. Posey on the keeper once again. Looks like an instant replay from the other side. All of a sudden, it's 14-0. But the Homewood offense gets in gear. Michael Witten hooks up with Reggie Lias on this nice play. That would be the final play of the first period. Then the Patriots go to the ground game. Rob Lampkin had another fine performance for Gerald Gann's squad, picking up good yardage here on the draw play. Then the Patriots go back to the air. Witten finds his big target, the tight end, number 84, Kevin Studinka, for 20-plus yards, and they're in Pell City territory. With time running out in the first half, Witten connects with Martell Smith for this 10-yard touchdown play. Kevin Miller added the extra point. Pell City had a 14-7 lead now as the teams head to the locker room. On the first drive of the second half, Homewood wastes no time in tying things up. Eric Moulton picks up 40-plus yards on this carry and tack on a little extra for the face mask penalty, and the Patriots are in business. Witten goes to Smith once again, picking up yardage inside the 10-yard line of Pell City. The Patriots go to the running game. Lampkin again, getting inside the 5-yard line of Pell City. And then Witten would find Smith again. This one for the touchdown. And just look at Martell Smith. You can tell he likes this one. It sends chills up his spine. The extra point was good. The game was tied at 14 apiece. This is not a replay, but it looks like it as Witten finds his favorite target on this night, Smith. That's the last play of the third quarter, and early in the fourth period, the Patriots take the lead. They wouldn't give up the lead either as Smith scores his third touchdown of the night, his first rushing touchdown. Homewood upsets Pell City 21-14. We'll have more football highlights a little bit later on in the show, but when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to talk volleyball with Homewood High School's Stacy Wygand and Jennifer Hayes right after this on the Video Vision's High School Sports Weekly.
As the team chiropractor for the Birmingham Bulls and the Birmingham Barons, we've had a tremendous opportunity to work with many professional athletes. We also work with collegiate and high school athletes in the Birmingham area. We have demonstrated that chiropractic is a safe and effective method, getting many athletes back to practice in less time than was expected. If you or any member of your family has a question concerning your health and chiropractic, please give us a call.
Did you realize that according to Money Magazine, you send about 4 pounds of waste to the landfill every day? Thanks to a new product from Wonderwood Building Supply, you can enjoy beautiful outdoor furniture and help keep the landfill out of your backyard. All of this furniture was made completely from a recycled plastic called Wonderwood. Wonderwood can be used just like lumber, but it's maintenance-free, guaranteed. Wonderwood can also be used for decks, patios, boat docks, fencing, bleachers for sporting events, and much more. So use Wonderwood for your recreational and household needs, and leave the trees up there where they belong.
It started out small, just a glance here, a glance there. I started sneaking off to the bathroom. Soon, even my friends wouldn't come around anymore. Before long, I just couldn't control myself.
The uncaring professionals at Jab Magazine still don't care.
Welcome back to High School Sports Weekly. One of the top volleyball programs not only in the over-the-mountain area but across the state of Alabama for the past several years has been the Lady Patriots from Homewood High School. Coach Susan Cook's squad has won the Class 5A state championship 2 consecutive years, but oddly enough, they've not been able to win a regular season tournament in about 5 years coming into this season. However, they changed all of that a couple of weeks ago when they won the Sachs Invitational 2 weeks ago, and then of course last weekend, as we told you, they won the Mid-South tournament at Thompson High School. I had the opportunity to visit with a couple of those leaders on the Lady Patriot team, Jennifer Hayes and Stacy Wygand. We're going to hear comments from Jennifer first, and I asked her, why do you think that this year you've been able to win the regular season tournaments?
I think our team this year is better, and we're getting better every year. And plus our team during the regular season, a lot of times we play up and down all the time, but we're pulling together pretty well right now, and I think that's why we're starting to win our tournaments.
You're the setter on the team, which I know is sort of, to relate it to another sport, you're sort of the quarterback of the team. Does that put extra pressure on you, or is that something that you like to feel, to know that you're pretty much in command?
I enjoy it. I do. I like to be the person in control of what's going on. I like the fact that the ball is supposed to go through my hands every play. I like being in control of what's going to happen in the game.
It's unusual to see a program have as much success for 2 years in a row like y'all have had. I mean, you don't see that many repeat winners in this state anymore. I know that Ramsey did it for several years, and now it looks like Homewood's the dominant team in Class 5A. Have you got some real experienced players? Is that part of the factor?
I think so. A lot of us play during the off season. We play in club teams, and we've played since we were in middle school together. And I think that's a lot of it, is that we play some of us play just about year round.
We were talking about the fact that you, until this year, when you won the Sachs Invitational and also the tournament last week, the Mid-South, that you haven't won regular season tournaments, but it's not like you're playing bad teams either. You're playing some great competition in this area.
We have been.
And you were telling me earlier, Pelham's probably the toughest team that you've faced. What is it about Pelham that's so tough?
They're very scrappy. They're always digging up balls. I mean, there's a ball that goes flying off somewhere, and you just think there's no way they're going to be able to get to that, and they always seem to pick it up.
Well, Jennifer and Stacy Wygand are leaders on and off the volleyball court. They are excellent students, both of them carrying 4.0 grade point averages. Stacy Wygand is the SGA president at Homewood High School, so these are true student athletes and they're outstanding leaders. Stacy is a senior on this team, has been a part of 2 straight state championships, and she attributes a lot of the success to the closeness of the team.
I think so. I think that everybody on the team is real good friends, and I think that helps. We all get along. We don't have anybody that, fusses or fights or anything like that. So,
obviously, the state championship is the most important of the tournaments, but I guess it had to have gotten frustrating to have not won a tournament until a couple of weeks ago. Did that sort of take a monkey off your back, a lot of relief?
Yeah, we were real excited to win these 2 tournaments that we won this year.
Talk about your coach a little bit. I know Coach Cook is very experienced, and obviously she knows what she's doing. You won 2 straight championships, but what does she like to play for?
Miss Cook is a great person. She really cares about the players as individuals, and you know, she talks to us and, you know, lets us know what she's thinking and what she's planning on doing, and she really cares about, you know, who we are and what we're doing.
It also helps when you've got some experienced leaders on the team. I know that you're one of them, but another one is Jennifer Hayes. What's it like to play beside someone that's an all-state performer like Jennifer is?
Jennifer is great. I've never seen a setter that could set as good as Jennifer. She, you know, she's there all the time. You know, wherever if the ball is 50 feet over here, she's going to be there to get it. You know, every set is a perfect set, just about all the time, and you know, she's a real team leader.
Well, it's time to take a look at some more highlights from last Friday night's football games involving Over the Mountain schools. One score that we inadvertently left off the scoreboard: Vestavia picked up a big 31-10 victory over Bradshaw. It was homecoming for the Rebels. Of course, they lost their first game of the season 2 weeks ago to Homewood, but they're able to rebound and pick up a big 31-10 victory over Bradshaw. Let's take a look at the highlights. The Rebels came into this game fired up and looking for a homecoming victory, and Alan Bullock gave them a great start as he takes the opening kickoff and returns it into Bradshaw territory. Senior quarterback Don Anderson will fool everybody on this next play. Nice play action fake. Then he finds his tight end, Eric Lynch, across the middle. Lynch gets it down near the 30-yard line of the Bruins. Then Anderson would go to the air once more. This time they'll find senior Chris Bonduras down to the 5-yard line of Bradshaw. Vestavia ready to score. Alan Bullock would do the honors on this play. The nice touchdown run here. Brian Wright added the extra point, and Vestavia held a 7-0 lead. On the next series, Anderson on the keeper this time. He'll get the ball across midfield. Then Anderson goes back to the air once more. He's going to find a wide open Darrell Grant on the left side. Nobody anywhere near Darrell. Great over-the-shoulder catch, loses his balance, but the Rebels are inside the Bradshaw 10-yard line. This time, Anderson to the air again to Lynch. The 5-yard touchdown play. Wright added the extra point. It's 14-0 Vestavia. The defense had a great night for the Rebels. They held Bradshaw under 150 yards of total offense. However, the Bruins did find the end zone on one occasion. Michael Passarella finds P.J. Williams on this play. The extra point was good, and it was 14-7 Vestavia. Bradshaw was on the move once more in the second period, but the Rebel defense forces a turnover here. That would set up a 32-yard field goal by Brian Wright. But just before the half, the Rebels put one more score on the board. Anderson connecting with Darrell Grant once again, this time for 30 yards and the touchdown. Wright added the extra point. It's 24-7 Vestavia Hills. In the third quarter, the Rebels put the game out of reach. Anderson would find Bonduras across the middle for a big gain here. Then Alan Bullock shows some hard running inside. Looks like he stopped at the 5, but he spins free and gets the ball down to about the 3. That would set up this great touchdown run by Dan Richardson, just bullying his way in, and the Rebels go on to a 31-10 victory over Bradshaw. Well, now we've come to the segment of our show where we allow you to become part of the program. It's time for the Birmingham Sports Shipley Donuts Trivia Quiz. Your chance to win a Birmingham Sports t-shirt and a dozen donuts from Shipley Donuts in Hoover. Last week's question: which school did Pelham head coach Ronnie Gilliland lead to a state championship in 1983? The answer: the Oak Grove Tigers. Coach Gilliland ran that wishbone back then, and the Tigers picked up the state championship in 1983. The winner of our trivia question from last week, Greg Glasscock. He knew that the Oak Grove Tigers, the old school of head coach Ronnie Gilliland, where he led them to a state championship in 1983. Greg wins, as I said, a t-shirt from Birmingham Sports and a dozen donuts from Shipley Donuts. It's your chance now to win those same prizes as we take a look at this week's question. And the question is, which over-the-mountain volleyball coach was the first head volleyball coach at UAB? And I'll give you a little bit of a hint. It's somebody that we have talked about on this program before, sometime during the past 6 or 7 weeks that we've been doing the show. She was a guest on our program. So the question again, which over-the-mountain volleyball coach was the first head volleyball coach at UAB? If you think you know the answer or you just want to take a guess, send your reply to Video Visions Trivia, P.O. Box 457, Montevallo, Alabama 35115. And we're interested in hearing from you whether you know the answer or not. As always, we want to have input from you on your comments about this show. Just want to hear what you think about our program. We hope that you're enjoying it because we're enjoying bringing the show to you. Well, now we're going to go to something we started last week. The Sports Care Health Tip is not something we started last week. We've had that every week since we've been bringing you the Video Visions High School Sports Weekly. But leading into that, we're going to take a look at one of the great over-the-mountain high school bands in our area. It's the Homewood High School Marching Band, and we'll have more right after this on the Video Visions High School Sports Weekly.
Welcome to the Sports Care Health Tip. I'm Sports Care Representative Brad Thomas from Montclair Baptist Medical Center. Today I'm with Dr. Gordon Marshall at the Montclair Physicians and Rehabilitation Complex. Our topic today is the knee ligament injuries. Dr. Marshall, tell us a little bit about what are the most common injuries in regards to knee ligaments.
Well, the ligaments of the knee involve primarily 3 ligaments that are prone to injury. This is the right knee, and if we pull the kneecap out of the way, you can see along the inside of the knee here is the medial collateral ligament. This is the most commonly sprained ligament in the knee. If you look at the very inside of the knee, this ligament running from the shin bone up to the thigh bone is the anterior cruciate ligament. This is the second most commonly injured ligament in the knee. And then lastly is the lateral collateral ligament along the outside of the knee here.
Dr. Marshall, what are the most common causes of knee ligament injuries?
Well, the most common cause of a knee ligament injury is a forceful blow on the outer part of the knee when a player has his foot planted firmly on the ground. This causes tension in the medial collateral ligament, and since it's the most commonly injured ligament, it's the first to give way from a lateral blow. So the lateral blow will cause a tear of the medial collateral ligament. Another common mechanism of injury is a hyperextension injury. This often occurs when a running back will stop suddenly in the middle of the field to change directions, hyperextend his knee, and the anterior cruciate ligament will first tighten and then give way under the stress and tear in half. The third most common injury mechanism for ligaments in the knee is a blow from the inner part of the knee. This causes the lateral collateral ligament to tear. Oftentimes, when you have an injury to the outer part of the knee, the medial collateral ligament will tear, resulting in more stress on the anterior cruciate ligament. This then can give way so that you torn not only the medial collateral but the anterior cruciate ligament as well.
Dr. Marshall, what are some of the symptoms of each of these injuries?
Well, injury to any of the ligaments in the knee will cause several things. The first one is, of course, pain. Secondly, you have swelling, and because of the pain and swelling, you won't be able to move that knee as readily as you could before.
What would you recommend as treatment until someone can obtain professional medical attention?
Well, the first thing to do is to rest. These aren't the kind of injuries that you want to try and walk off or head right back into the football game with. You want to rest your knee, place ice on it to decrease the swelling, wrap it up in an ACE wrap to put some compression on it so you decrease the bleeding inside the knee. And lastly, you want to elevate it. Lay back and prop your feet up, and this will help decrease the swelling as well.
Dr. Marshall, what are the options as far as treatment is concerned in regards to these injuries in athletes?
Well, for medial collateral ligament tears, a brief period of immobilization, say 3 to 5 days, followed by some range of motion exercises to get the full extension and flexion of the knee back can be started. Once the range of motion has been reinstituted, you can start up on a strengthening program that'll strengthen the muscles around the knee to protect the ligament from being re-injured. Very rarely is it necessary to ever do surgery on these patients because most of them will heal up without a problem. And most of these kids can be back playing football or whatever sport they were involved in within 2 to 3 months after their injury. Now for anterior cruciate ligament tears in athletes, it's best to do a brief period of immobilization, say one to 3 days, start them on some range of motion exercises, and then slowly get them instituted on a strengthening program. Most of these kids will need surgery to reconstruct their anterior cruciate ligament using a piece of the tendon from below the kneecap. But this usually isn't done for 2 to 3 weeks after their injury. For the lateral collateral ligament tear, it's best to rehab these patients similar to the medial collateral ligament tear, but oftentimes these patients will need reconstruction of the lateral collateral ligament because its function is a little bit more involved than the lateral collateral.
Great. Thanks so much, Dr. Marshall. If you're experiencing these types of injuries or any others, or if you'd just like some information on the sports care program at Montclair Baptist Medical Center, please call our 24-hour informational and emergency hotline at 592-5000.
Welcome back to High School Sports Weekly. We've talked an awful lot on this program about how tough the competition is in Class 6A Area 9 with teams like Berry, Pelham, Thompson, and Vestavia. It's tough in all sports, but especially in football. The first Area 9 matchup of the season was held this past Friday night as the Berry Buccaneers played host to the Pelham Panthers. It was a bit of a grudge match for Berry as they lost to Pelham last season. The Bucks did get their revenge in a big way, 31-7 over Pelham. Let's take a look at the highlights. Senior quarterback Matt Anderson got the Panthers off to a great start. On the opening drive of the game, he goes 67 yards on this play, getting inside the Berry 10-yard line. But as the Panther offense did several times, their drive would stall. They had to try a field goal, and it was blocked. Great special teams play by the Bucks on this night. And the Berry offense would take over. Senior quarterback Chris Jonas developing into a fine QB. He finds a great receiver on this play, Rob Brazil. Those two have hooked up several times this year. Brazil getting near midfield. The little sophomore running back for the Bucks, Andre Fields, will weave his way through traffic on this play. He'll fumble it right at the end, but fortunately for the Bucks, it was recovered by Berry, and they actually pick up a couple of yards on the fumble. That would set up this 1-yard run by Jason Spain. The extra point attempt failed, but Berry had a 6-0 lead at the end of the first period. In the second quarter, the Bucks add to their lead. Jonas finds Torrey Simmons, the tall wide receiver, wide open beyond the secondary. This play goes 51 yards for the score. The 2-point conversion was good, and Berry held a 14-0 lead. In the second quarter, Pelham tries to come back as Anderson completes this pass to the near sidelines, but it's fumbled, and the Bucks would recover. Now, just before the half, Bob Finley goes to his bag of tricks, comes out with a pretty good play. Andre Fields, you know he could run the ball. On this play, you find out that he can throw it as well, as he connects with John Speidel. On the halfback pass, the extra point was good by Chuck Kramer, 21-0 Berry at the halftime break. But Matt Anderson tries to bring the Panthers back. He drags defenders with him on this play. And then Jason Lane gets in on the action. He'll find a hole right up the middle of the Berry defense. and the Panthers are driving towards their first score. And just a couple of plays later, they would get that first score as Lang does the honors from 1 yard out. Michael Howell added the extra point, and Berry's lead was cut to 21-7. But the Bucks come back again. Jonas does a nice job of eluding the sack there, finds running room down the sideline before being knocked out of bounds. Jonas will come back and make another nice running play here on the quarterback draw. Picks up about 8 or 10 yards. That would set up a field goal by Chuck Kramer. It was good, and the lead was 24-7. Spain would come on to add another 3-yard touchdown run, and the Bucks pick up an important Area 9 victory, 31-7 over Pelham. You know, coming into this season, it looked like Berry and Pelham would be the two teams to beat in Class 6A Area 9. Of course, there's plenty of time for the Panthers to bounce back and reach the playoffs, but it's going to be awfully difficult after losing their first area game of the season to the Berry Buccaneers. Well, another team that's competing in that tough area is the Thompson Warriors, and head coach Ricky Seal has got that squad playing awfully well right now. They pick up another big victory Friday night as they defeat the Gardendale Rockets. The Warriors on a roll right now, and let's take a look at their highlights. There was no score in the opening period, but Gardendale got on the board first in the second. Rod McConico has this 8-yard touchdown run. The extra point was good, and Gardendale had a 7-0 lead. But the Warriors would come back. Jason Quick, the talented quarterback for Thompson, on the keeper here. He picks up 15 yards and gets inside Gardendale territory. Then Quick would find his favorite receiver. That's Billy Sester, senior wideout. Open on the far sideline, does a nice little job of tiptoeing his way inbounds. He's down near the 30. However, the drive would stall as the Warriors fumble on this play. Gardendale recovers. The Warriors would be back in just a moment. In fact, they forced Gardendale to punt. And on the next series, Quick would find the church man, Dan Church, on the right flat. He's inside the 40. Then Quick would go back to Sester again near the right sidelines. He dances his way near the 15. Then comes the scoring play for the Warriors. Quick finding the big tight end, Mark Davenport, wide open. 2-yard scoring play. Lee Coxwell added the extra point. It's 7-7 at the half. In the third period, first series, the Warriors don't waste any time going on top. Cedric Bryant, right up the middle, 77 yards. The extra point was good. 14-7 Thompson. The Warriors had 232 yards rushing on the night. A big third quarter. You've already seen one score. Here comes another. The defense gets in on the act. Jeremy Jones picks up the loose ball. He goes 30 yards for the touchdown. It's 21-7 Thompson. But the Warriors aren't through in the third period. Quick would find Sester across the middle again. Just a few plays later, Quick takes the keeper around right in, moves back towards the near sidelines, and he will rumble his way into the end zone. The extra point again by Coxwell was good, and it was 28-7 Warriors. In the fourth period, the defense stops another Gardendale drive. The ball is tipped right into the hands of Mark Davenport. He goes down the far sideline. That would set up a 41-yard field goal by Lee Coxwell. It would close out the scoring for the Warriors. 31-7 your final. Thompson over Gardendale. You know, Gardendale is one of those programs that in the past, anytime you mention their names, it would strike fear in the opposition. Sad to see that the Rockets have fallen on such hard times the past couple of years, but still, anytime you can pick up a victory at Gardendale, it's a big win, and that's exactly what the Warriors did. 31-7 last Friday night at Gardendale. Thompson is 4-1 on the season. Well, we're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, we're going to take a look at the state rankings and the over-the-mountain teams' involvement in those rankings for both volleyball and football right after this message from our sponsors on the Video Vision's High School Sports Weekly.
Looking for an apartment that will suit your individual taste? Look no further than Ski Lodge, professionally managed by the Rime Companies. Your options include 1- and 2-bedroom efficiencies, garden apartments, and townhouse chalets. You'll find 8 pools and 12 lighted tennis courts, just jogging distance to the Rime Fitness Center. Ski Lodge is convenient to downtown, I-65, and Homewood. Ski Lodge from the Rime Companies.
The Rime Companies, for your total way of living.
Hello, I'm Maury Wall, publisher of Over the Mountain Journal. We're excited about covering our 4th year of high school athletics. This area has consistently produced some of the finest athletes and teams in the state, and that sure makes our job easier. Having grown up and played high school sports in this area, I know firsthand how important it is to the players, parents, and communities that support it. That's why you'll see in-depth coverage every week in the Journal. Our coverage is even stronger this year with the addition of Chris Stewart as our sports editor. Thanks for your support this year, and we look forward to covering your favorite team.
As the team chiropractor for the Birmingham Bulls and the Birmingham Barons, we've had a tremendous opportunity to work with many professional athletes. We also work with collegiate and high school athletes in the Birmingham area. We have demonstrated that chiropractic is a safe and effective method, getting many athletes back to practice in less time than was expected. If you or any member of your family has a question concerning your health and chiropractic, please give us a call.
And now the KIZ weather. Hot, hot, and hot. We have unconfirmed reports of people actually evaporating as a result of spontaneous combustion.
They say the only way to avoid combusting is by drinking unusually large amounts of ice-cold Pepsi. Well, that just goes to show you shouldn't believe everything you hear on the radio.
And that's the weather on KIZ Radio.
Well, this is an unusually large amount of Pepsi.
Y'all keep cool now.
Well, as we told you last week on Video Vision's High School Sports Weekly, Over the Mountain schools seem to dominate the volleyball rankings in the state of Alabama. Pelham had dropped out of the #1 spot for a while, but as we see, as we take a look at the big school rankings, the Lady Panthers of head coach Tammy Richardson are back in the top spot once again. The Lady Panthers, after a very successful tournament last weekend in Tallahassee, and also very successful in that tri-match with Briarwood and Homewood we showed you earlier. They are on top in the big schools poll. That's for classes 6A through 4A. The Lady Panthers 28-4 on the season, but they're not alone as far as over the mountain schools are concerned in those rankings. Homewood's Lady Patriots of head coach Susan Cook 29-7 on the season. They move up to the #3 spot. Thompson is in the poll again in the #10 position. They are 18-13 on the season. Head coach Debbie Seals' team doing very well, as you can see there. That 18-13 mark, not as good as a lot of teams in the top 10. However, their strength of schedule is a big, big plus when it comes to the voters looking at the Lady Warriors and putting them in the #10 spot. In the small schools, only one team there, Briarwood, which held the #1 position for about 2 or 3 weeks, has dropped now to #3. Head coach Barry Walker's squad still having a fine season. They are 27-6 on the year. Let's take a look at the volleyball schedule for over the mountain schools heading into this weekend. It's a very light schedule, not a lot of action for the girls this weekend in the next few days. But there are a few teams. Let's take a look at those. The Athens Invitational will be held this Saturday, October the 9th. The Lady Panthers of Pelham will be participating in that one. They'll be trying to win their 2nd consecutive volleyball tournament. As we told you earlier, they won the Tallahassee Invitational last weekend. They're looking to go for 2 in a row at the Athens Invitational that Saturday, October the 9th. Next Tuesday night at Berry High School, beginning at 4 o'clock, so I guess it's a Tuesday afternoon start. That's October the 12th. There will be a tri-match between Berry, Briarwood, and Thompson. That will be a very good tri-match. 3 of the top teams in the over the mountain area getting together for that tri-match at Berry High School beginning at 4 o'clock. If you get the chance, you certainly want to take in some of that action. And as we said, a very light schedule that we have for over the mountain volleyball within the next few days. But of course the schedule will pick up as we get closer and closer to the end of the season, and the state tournament for all of the classifications again will be held in Birmingham. The finals will be held at Homewood High School, and we'll give you the best, most in-depth coverage around when it comes to the volleyball state tournament later on. That will be in November. Let's take a look at the over-the-mountain teams in the football poll. There's just a couple, but it's some pretty good rankings. Briarwood has dropped out in Class 3A. They were there in the top 10 for a while. Homewood has not made an appearance as of yet in the Class 5A poll, but don't be surprised if the Patriots, head coach Gerald Gann, make an appearance if they're able to pick up a couple of more victories. They're 3-2 right now, but they've played a very tough schedule. Their only losses have come against Shades Valley, which is number 10 in this week's poll in Class 6A, and also against one of the top teams in Class 5A, the Etowah Blue Devils. So look for Homewood to appear in the next few weeks, but they're not there yet. Two teams that are in the rankings in the state. In Class 6A, as I just said, the Shades Valley Mounties of head coach Robert Higginbotham and the Berry Buccaneers of head coach Bob Finley continue their move towards the top. They are now 4th in the state in Class 6A. That, of course, after they pick up another big victory. They are 5-0 on the season, heading into their traditional matchup with the Vestavia Rebels. We'll talk more about that game in just a few moments. As a matter of fact, let's talk about this weekend's schedule involving Over the Mountain high school football teams. First up, Briarwood Christian at Corner. You know, we talked about Briarwood earlier. This is a strange season so far for head coach Fred Yancey's squad. They start out the season with 3 very tough road games. They win all 3 of those, but they come back home for 2 games, haven't been able to pick up a victory. They're 3-2. They're trying to stop the bleeding, and they will travel to Corner to take on the Yellow Jackets. Head coach Ken Gleaton always puts a fine squad on the field at Corner. That'll be a tough matchup for the Lions, and hopefully they can pick up the victory there as they travel to Corner. Next up, Fairfield at Homewood. This is an area matchup for the Patriots. Fairfield not having the best of seasons. They've only got 1 victory, I believe, at this point in the year. But Glenn Thompson's the head coach at Fairfield. He has done a fine job in the years that he has been there since coming over from Inslee High School. The Tigers, very talented, always tremendous athletes, and this is an area matchup, which makes it even more important for the Patriots. We'll look for them to move to 4-2 as they play host to Fairfield this Friday night at Waldrop Stadium. Next on the schedule board, John Carroll at McAdory. These are 2 teams here that are really struggling as of right now. I believe that's an area matchup for the Cavaliers. Mark Frank's squad has been close to picking up their 2nd victory, but have not been able to do so in the past couple of weeks. Look for them, however, to get that 2nd win at McAdory. The Yellow Jackets really struggling. They have won 1 game as well, but they are having some problems right now. But that's good news if you're a John Carroll fan. Hopefully they can go to McCalla and pick up the victory over McAdory. Next up, Pelham at Tarrant. And after 3 straight weeks against tough ranked teams, it looked like this would be a breather for the Panthers as they travel to Tarrant to take on the Yellow Jackets. Tarrant had not won a ball game until last weekend when the Wildcats of head coach Don Hanna upset Fultondale. Fultondale was undefeated at the time and ranked in the Class 3A poll, but the Wildcats pull off the upset in that one, so it looks like Pelham's game with Tarrant is going to be a little bit more difficult than we first thought, but still I think the Panthers will be able to bounce back and improve their record to 500 as they travel to Tarrant. Next up is what I think will be the best matchup in the state in Class, or the 2nd best matchup in the state in Class 6A. Probably the best matchup will be Thursday night when Lee of Montgomery takes on Central of Tuscaloosa. But this is a fine matchup as well. Hewitt-Trussville at Shades Valley. The Mounties reappearing in the Class 6A poll. They started out in that poll, but of course losing to Vestavia at the beginning of the season dropped them out of there. Out of the poll, they are back in there at the number 10 slot. Hewitt-Trussville is still in the Class 6A rankings. Of course, they were defeated for the first time a couple of weeks ago by the Berry Buccaneers, and they slipped from number 2 down to number 8 or 9. They are at number 8 this week. That should be a great matchup. The strong running game of the Huskies against the very strong defense of Shades Valley. They have given up, I don't believe, more than 10 points all season long, and that will be a great matchup at Shades Valley this Friday night. Next up, when you talk great matchups, you have to talk about Berry at Vestavia Hills. The Rebels of head coach Buddy Anderson playing host to the Bucks of Bob Finley. This is really the high school version of Alabama and Auburn in this area. Two fine teams, two fine programs, always have a great matchup. This will have a huge crowd at Thompson-Reynolds Stadium. The Bucks in Vestavia, that is a game that I'm really looking forward to. That will be a great matchup this Friday night at Vestavia Hills. And the last game on our schedule board, Mountain Brook at Thompson. The Spartans of head coach Don Creasy desperately seeking their first victory, and it's going to be tough to find it this week. As we've told you, the Warriors of head coach Ricky Seal really playing very well right now. Jason Quick, their quarterback, is really coming into his own. Billy Sester, one of the best wideouts in the area. That combination, I think, will be too tough for the Spartans. Look for Thompson to pick up another victory as they host Mountain Brook. Well, that gives you the schedule of games Friday night. When we come back from our commercial break, we'll take a look at the TV and radio schedule involving Over the Mountain High School football next week, right after this on the Video Vision's High School Sports Weekly. For more than 100 years, Forbes Piano Company has been providing its customers the largest selection at the best prices. Forbes has everything from traditional uprights to the latest in musical enjoyment, digital pianos. Before you make an investment, Forbes has a plan where you can try before you buy. The Forbes rent-to-own plan allows you to try out any new piano, including grand pianos. Forbes also has a sheet music department that enables you to find the perfect piece for any occasion. Forbes Piano Company, open 6 days a week with 2 locations to serve you.
Done that. Did that. Been there. Tried that. Done it. Did it. Done it. Doing it tomorrow. Whoa! Never did it.
You've never done nothing till you do diet do.
Did it. Done it. Liked it. Loved it.
It started out small. Just a glance here, a glance there. I started sneaking off to the bathroom. Soon, even my friends wouldn't come around anymore. Before long, I just couldn't control myself.
The Uncaring Professionals at Jab Magazine still don't care.
Well, it's just about time to wrap things up here on the Video Vision's High School Sports Weekly, but before we go, we want to give you the radio and television schedule for Over the Mountain High School football this week. Don't forget the Best in High School football broadcast Friday night on WJOX AM 690. Yours truly, along with Pat Patrick, beginning at 6 o'clock with the pregame show. We'll talk about games involving Over the Mountain schools, the city of Birmingham, really the entire metro Birmingham area, and games across the state of Alabama, so we'll hope that you'll join us for that at 6 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, we'll send you to the stadium where Jimbo Bixler, Bill Taylor, and Charlie Adcock will bring you the broadcast of the Berry at Vestavia game. As we told you earlier, that is always one of the best matchups, not only in the Over the Mountain area, but in the entire state of Alabama. A great matchup anytime Berry and Vestavia get together. That pregame broadcast for that game begins at 7 o'clock. Then following the Berry-Vestavia game, we'll go back to the studio where Pat and I will have the postgame scoreboard show. We hope that you'll join us for that, and also give us a call to let us know the score of the game that you saw that Friday night. Also, don't forget, the Alabama Cable Network will have the replays of just about all the Over the Mountain games available for you Monday through Wednesday. Let's take a look at that schedule beginning Monday night, 7 p.m. For those of you that have TCI cable on Channel 10, you'll be able to see the Berry broadcast of Berry at Vestavia Hills. For those of you that live in the Pelham, Helena, Alabaster area and watch on Crown Cable, Monday night at 7 o'clock on Channel 6, it's Mountain Brook at Thompson. Tuesday night schedule at 8 o'clock for those of you on TCI cable. Channel 10, it's the Vestavia broadcast of Berry at Vestavia. Get a couple of different looks at that one. And then Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on Crown Cable Channel 6, you'll have make that Pelham at Tarrant. And then the final game on the Alabama Cable Network for the week, Wednesday night, 7 p.m., TCI Cable Channel 10, Fairfield at Homewood, that big area matchup in Class 5A. I hope that you'll enjoy all of the rebroadcast of those high school football games on the Alabama Cable Network. And of course, we hope that you'll join us here again next Thursday night at 9 o'clock for the Video Visions High School Sports Weekly. That does it for this week's show. We want to thank you for watching, and again, thanks to all of our sponsors for their involvement with this show. And please, if you get the opportunity, please patronize those sponsors and tell them you appreciate their involvement with this show so that we can bring you all the action involving Over the Mountain high school sports. For my technical director, Philip Pritchard, I'm Chris Stewart. Thanks for watching. Good night, everyone.